Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs win their first playoff game since 2017. Wrigley was rocking. The Cubs were rocking. We're rocking right now here on the Setup Man podcast. We're live. I'm amped, baby. I'm amped. Let's
Hot
go.
damn.
It feels good, baby. Oh, Alex, you doing good? You good?
I mean, heartbeat's up, but yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, we're doing all right.
Oh, man, welcome in to the Setup Man post-game show playoff version. I'm Kyle Stanley alongside with Alex Brault. This is the Setup Man podcast. If you haven't already, which you probably have, I mean, at this point, we're in the freaking playoffs. We did 162. You better have subscribed already. If you haven't, do it. Comment, like this video, share it with your friends. Let's go join and celebrate this freaking first win since 2017. First of hopefully many here in 2025 for the playoffs. And please leave a 5-star review if you're listening on audio. All these help us. They help us all. All right, Alex, brother, first of all, I want to see who's in the chat. We have been celebrating all year long with these people. Let's get them in right now. So I see Kyle Lawson here. Buying tickets for tomorrow. Let's go, Kyle. We got Rojo Cube, one of our loyals. Woo, fly the W, play the song. Cubs win, says Progressively Independent. So, Alex, I'm gonna let you be on comments here for this one. But
Absolutely.
it feels good to get a win. It feels good to be back in the captain's seat here for game one. Usually it's you. So let's just start. First of all, overall feelings. Before we start breaking down the game, we go kind of inning by inning here. I just want to know from you, especially when they were down 1-0 and Nick Pivetta was looking the way he was. I don't want to give you the feelings and take them away from you. I just want to know what your feelings were at that time.
Once there was, because what was it, back-to-back doubles, and then there's a guy on third, and it's like, oh no. This is how it's going to unravel for Boyd, because Boyd really looked solid, and ultimately Boyd held serve. And I want to just look. I know I'm the Dansby defender. In fact, I'm wearing his jersey right now. But those two plays that he made defensively are the reason the Cubs win that game today. He kept them in the game with two outstanding defensive web gems, and then I believe after the second one, next inning, bang, Seiya homer, bang, Carson Kelly homer. And that was pretty much all she wrote. And then obviously a massive insurance run late. But overall, I mean, how am I feeling? I am feeling like it's been a while since there's been postseason baseball. And my cardio is not where it needs to be. Because, man, oh, man, they're down 1-0. I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. It's going to be like 2020 all over again against the Marlins. It's just there's not going to be a competition. Settle down, panicky brain, because that's how it should look today. That's the formula to beat this team.
First win since the fourth game of the NLCS against the Dodgers, where they just avoided a sweep. We're going to talk more about the past playoffs. Actually, I've got a few stats for you here, but the highlights of today: Matthew Boyd, 4 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, and the bullpen absolutely perfect. Did not allow a single base runner, struck out 4 and 4 2/3. Thought the move to Daniel Palencia with the Cubs down a run was one at the moment of just like, that was interesting. And then it just ended up being such a key move. We'll talk about that more in a second. But then Seiya and Carson Kelly go back to back in the 5th. And then you've got the insurance run, as Alex alluded to, against former Cub Jeremiah Estrada. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and go inning by inning here. First of all, Alex, you got Matthew Boyd up there, 1, 2, 3 in the first inning, setting the tone. Nico comes up in the top and bottom of the first, little single through the right side, and then a couple strikeouts to end the inning. So not much going on in the first, but I did like the tone that was set by Boyd. How about you?
Yeah, truthfully, coming into this game, we all knew he pitched well at Wrigley, but it was how do you start? And we're going to have the same conversation if it showed at Imanaga tomorrow. If they use an opener, it's how you set the tone for all of these games. We saw that in 16. We saw that in 17. Whoever typically scores first, because all the bullpens are great in the postseason, let's face it. Whoever scores first or settles in starting pitching wise typically wins the game. Boyd held serve today. Was it perfect? No. But also we live in this era of baseball where, it's not John Lester going 7 innings. It's get us to the 5th and then the bullpens take over from there. Because Pivetta easily could have kept going. He was terrific today as well. Yeah. But the tone that Boyd set going 1, 2, 3 right away off the top really set the tone for this entire game.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. Then you got top of the second, Dansby robs O'Hearn. And now backing that up for a second, you had a leadoff double. Great piece of hitting there by Jackson Merrill on a slider inside, pulled his hands in, little looper down the right field line, busting out of the box, gets a double. Then you got Xander Bogaerts with a double into the gap in left center. They called an error on PCA. I don't like that because Nico tried to short hop it and the ball gets away from him. Xander Bogaerts over to third base. Thought that was a weak error on PCA. Nico had plenty of time to get in front of that ball. But man, what happened next was pretty incredible because you got with nobody out, man on third, O'Hearn with the sharp ground ball to third base or to shortstop, and Dansby Swanson makes the diving play. Honestly, I was pretty surprised they didn't send Bogaerts right there. Even though it was hard hit, even though Dansby made the play, Dansby was basically playing halfway. He wasn't playing all the way in. And I thought, even if the ball was hit hard, I thought any ball kind of up the middle, not to the corners, that they would have been sending Bogaerts. What about you?
I mean, this sounds kind of elementary, but also Dansby was on his stomach. Like if you're going on contact there, you should score pretty easily. And as you said, it was halfway. It wasn't like he was on the grass. He was still in the infield dirt at the time. So I was surprised. Now, Bogaerts is coming off a broken foot, but also the play before he got to third base. So I don't know exactly what to believe there, but the fact that the contact play wasn't on for a team that the broadcast kept reminding us struggles to score runs, kind of surprised they weren't a little more aggressive there. But hey, whatever. We'll take it. Not upset about that at all.
They actually said they play small ball really well, which is just another way of saying they're not very good at scoring runs.
Reading between the lines.
Yeah, there you go. Then Gavin Sheets pops out to Matt Shaw, which was a huge second out, and then Jake Cronenworth grounds out to Dansby once again. I mean, Dansby had his ups and downs sometimes during. I would say this season in the field was probably, of the 3 that he's been a Cub so far, the least productive in the field. But man, today he looked like he was on his game. And so that was your second inning. Was that you? Is someone, can you hear that?
No.
It's MLB's stupid ad playing. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Is he about to joke in here? What's going on? No, it was MLB's advertisement popping up. My bad. All right. Bottom of the third inning, Nick Pivetta is just rolling. He gets his 5th strikeout. Honestly, you said that you weren't feeling it. I, at that point, was just like, this does not have a good feeling at all. And this was where I started to get a little bit curious, Alex, and I did some digging. I was fully expecting the Cubs to get shut out in this game based on how I was seeing the offense going for the first 3 innings. And it got me wondering. I'm like, wait a second. I think they only scored like 1 run in 2020 in those 2 games. And I think they definitely only scored 1 run in 2018, that 1 game against the Rockies. So I went back to 2017, the NLCS against the Dodgers. Since game 1 of the NLCS against the Dodgers, the Cubs have played in 8 playoff games, not including today. Coming into today, 8 playoff games. Guess how many runs they scored in those 8 playoff games combined coming into today?
I'm going to say like 4. It could have been.
Oh, man, you really don't like them. It's 10. It's 10, but still 10 runs in 8 playoff games coming into today. And by the way, to get into the NLCS, they beat the Washington Nationals in 2017, 9-8. So they scored basically as many runs in their last actual impressive win in the playoffs since than they did in the next 8, which is just wild to think. So anyway, that was the bottom of the 3rd. Top of the 4th, it's Dansby at it again. Runners on the corner after a little infield whatever hit by Xander Bogaerts and a little looper that gives you Luis Gonzalez 2001 World Series vibes. Dansby says, nope, not today. Little basket catch over, has the wherewithal to throw it home. Cubs are out of it again. I mean, you got to give credit to Matt Boyd, but I've got to give more credit to Dansby on these.
The chat is saying it too. He saved 2 runs in a game you won by 2 runs. I mean, that's why you bring him in. I know people like to complain about the contract. He doesn't hit it. That's why you bring a guy of his caliber in, especially defensively, because you know what wins in the postseason? Pitching and defense, and obviously putting the ball over the fence.
Yep, absolutely. By the way, chat, I do want to get you guys ready. We are going to be throwing some of your comments on here. We're also going to be throwing some of your questions. So like Rob, I see is mobile or DHing tomorrow. We'll talk about some of that stuff coming up here in a second. 5th inning. Well, this was where it got surprising to me. Not necessarily surprising, but Matt Boyd was cruising pretty good. Freddie Fermin, 9th hitter, little base hit. They did allude to it, especially Lance Brzezowski with Marquis. They did allude to the fact that Boyd is not good the 3rd time through the lineup and that he might get taken out. And there was even a question of like, why doesn't Boyd have an opener so that he can get the 3rd time through the lineup and go deeper? But after that single, they take him out for Daniel Palencia and a couple, let's be honest, hard hit balls off the bat of it was Arise and Tatis, but he gets out of the inning and that ends up being the momentum shift because in the bottom of 5th, boom, Seiya, bomb, boom, Carson Kelly, back-to-back bombs. We got ourselves a 2-1 lead. Didn't see that one coming, Alex.
Maybe Seiya, but Carson Kelly's bat's been awfully quiet lately. And, I mean, here's a kid, kind of like the Matthew Boyd's interview yesterday about how important it is for him as his grandpa growing up, a Cubs fan, for how important it was for him. Carson Kelly is from the Chicagoland area, so hometown kid, bang! I mean, essentially the game-winning home run. It's just, that's a dude, I don't know what it is. I told you this before the show. I respect and love that Carson Kelly is my catcher. I don't know what it is. He's had a great year, but maybe it's just how he keeps things loose, his personality. He seems like a great guy, but I am so happy he's behind the plate for us. And the pitchers seem to love him too, which definitely helps.
Yeah. I mean, he over exceeded all expectations this year. You know, I thought he was going to be a low 200 hitter. I didn't think he would crack 10 home runs. I thought he was going to be a defensive guy. That's about it. And how many times did he bat 4th for this team?
Oh, I mean, almost 3 months worth at one point.
Right? Pretty wild. All right. Bottom of 6, some controversy. Cubs get the first 2 on. Ian Happ comes up batting righty against Mr. Adrian Morejon or Morejon or however they say it on the broadcast, which I don't think is correct.
I kept hearing Morhan, which sounds like moron. I'm like, that can't be right. There's no way that's right.
Cubs were trying to make a moron out of him. However, Ian Happ grounds into a double play. You had Kyle Tucker behind him struggling. However, Kyle Tucker wasn't exactly looking completely lost at the plate. He just wasn't making a lot of great contact. I thought Ian Happ being a high ground ball guy, I tweeted this. I just thought that with a lead, that was the time that you bunt. I'm not usually a proponent of bunting. I thought that was the time that you bunt. You get the guys over to second and third, at worst, first and third. And you give Tucker an opportunity to just hit his little lazy ground ball to first base or a little weak fly ball to the outfield and get yourself a 3-1 lead. Instead, it ends up being a double play. Then Tucker hits that weak fly ball to the outfield for out number 3. We'll talk about Tucker a little bit more in a bit here. But I just really thought that was a missed opportunity to get an insurance run. And we didn't need to go for the jugular. We just needed to get some insurance at that moment.
Yeah, that was one of the moments I tweeted about live right before that had happened. They got the first 2 guys on, Bush single, Horner single. I had tweeted, doors open. They left the door open. Bust that bleep down now, because we all have heard about how great this Padre bullpen is. Now's your opportunity. And I didn't have an issue. Hindsight's 2020. So afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, they should have bunted. That would have made sense. But also, it's not like Tucker's been great.
Mm-hmm.
And his postseason numbers aren't that great. So I get the idea of taking a shot with Happ, who's been hitting well over the last few weeks. But it's one of those things where your 3-hole hitter who's been hitting well, you're going to have him bunt.
Yeah.
I get the reasoning behind it, especially with who was behind him. But it's just like, yeah, but all right, double play just essentially killed your inning.
Yep. So Cubs don't end up scoring. But the bullpen again just locks it down. Pomeranz comes in 1, 2, 3. Kitty, can we get a little kitty there? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. 1, 2, 3 in the top of the 8th, and then bottom 8. I mean, do the teams out there just not know that Nico Horner is like the last guy that you want to face with runners in scoring position? Because we get a leadoff hit by Dansby, a bunt by Matt Shaw, and then an intentional walk to Michael Bush to bring up Nico Horner. Pass ball, wild pitch, whatever you want to call it. And Nico does the job, sack fly, and Mr. Dansby Swanson comes screaming in to get that 3-1 lead. But again, I'm just like, why are you putting the bat in the Cubs' best runners in scoring position hand? Dude, the team's just like, they don't do the research. I don't know.
It really did not make sense in the moment, because at this point, you and I were on prepping, and we're like, I had said to you, they're walking Bush. But then it dawned on me, because Nico hasn't been in the 2-hole for very long. It was like, oh, well, why did they do that? That seems odd. And I mean, they had him 0-2 and then 1-2, then threw one low and out. Nico does his job, bat on ball, which is his strength, which in that situation is what you want. Look, Mike Schilt was a former Cardinal manager, and he got fired from the Cardinals. So just pointing that out. Maybe no correlation, but just pointing it out.
Also unrelated, Ollie Marmol has been extended. So another year of just mediocrity in St. Louis, which is going to be wonderful. All right. And then in the 9th inning, Brad Keller goes 1, 2, 3. Weird situation there with the pitch clock. Didn't end up really mattering at all. And the Cubs get out of town. Well, they don't get out of town. They get out of game 1 with a 3-1 win, which, by the way, in my prediction yesterday in the preview, I said 5-2. I said Seiya and PCA would go yard, and I said that Matt Boyd would go 5 innings and 1 earned run. So I was not far off.
Pretty good.
I'm pretty happy about that. All right, I want to get to the chat here in a second, but Alex, how huge is this game 1 win? Even though they're at home, and even if they lost game 1, I would be like, okay, they're still at home, they still got an advantage. But how big is that?
I had said on the show Sunday with Ty, it's a heck of a lot easier to win a 3-game series when you win the first one. I know that sounds dumb because, yeah, duh. But think about it. Tomorrow, we're guessing here. Nothing's been officially announced, and I have Twitter up here on the side. Nothing has been officially announced. But let's say it's Shota. Shota has had his struggles. Even if you open with him, Shota has still had his struggles. Well, now you have the luxury of tomorrow, house money game. You either win and advance to go to Milwaukee, or, okay, that didn't work, but we got Tyone versus Darvish, and Darvish is a bit of a roller coaster. If he's on, good luck, but he's not the same guy he was, even with the Cubs 6 years ago. So winning the first one gives you that flexibility. Okay, you can go for broke tomorrow, but you don't necessarily have to. I personally, let's get the win. Let's move on with our lives, because anything can happen in a 3-game series. But you are now 1 win away from advancing. That's massive, because if we're down 0-1, okay, now we have to win 2 against Dylan Cease and you, Darvish. That's a much tougher test than, hey, you just got to split the next two. I know that's stupid math, but I do think also a lot of these guys, when watching the game, I was like, oh, yeah, he's never been in the playoffs before. Seiya, he's never been in the playoffs before. Carson Kelly, never been in the playoffs before. Michael Busch, never in the play. So there was a lot of guys where I think getting a game like this under their belt and carrying that momentum from the St. Louis series really is massive. And you know who else this game was massive for that we haven't talked about yet? Daniel Palencia.
Yeah.
That guy was magnificent today. Goes an inning and a third. He was unhittable. And the at bat against Jackson Merrill.
Oh, not even fair.
He held the ball in a set position for about 5 seconds as Merrill did not call timeout and he's just stuck. And then 101 Baya, doors blown off. We'll see you later. That's not fair. He looked outstanding today. And him and Dansby are my low-key MVPs of this game.
I mean, I think Dansby is high key MVP of this game. Like even though you had the Seiya and the Carson Kelly home runs, they are not impactful if you're down 3-0, which is what the Cubs should have been. They should have been down 3-0 at that moment.
Yeah. And it could have got worse. It could have easily snowballed on them because then they were getting the lucky little swinging bunts and the little floaters to fall. That could have got ugly real fast. So, yes, Dansby shut that down. But I also want to give credit to Palencia because Boyd lets the first guy on, and it's like, oh, boy, here we go. And then, hey, they're going to Palencia. I'm sorry, they're going to who? In a messy inning? With a guy who just had a shoulder injury that we thought he was done for the year 2 weeks ago? What? And then, I mean, just doors all day, blowing the doors off people.
Can we actually take a second? Because literally every bullpen guy that came in today has a special story. Daniel Palencia started the year in AAA. This was literally, if you are a Cubs fan, this was his last year that you were giving him a shot, because we had seen 3 years back to back to back of him just being mediocre while throwing 101, 102 miles an hour. And he ended up being, I would say, the second or third most impactful pitcher for the Cubs this year, behind Brad Keller and potentially Caleb Thielbar as well. Next up, you have Drew Pomeranz, who hadn't pitched since when? Like 2020, 2021?
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, and he didn't allow a run until like the 25th inning of the year, ends the year with a low 2 ERA, gets the 7th inning, 6th inning, 7th inning, 7th inning, yeah, and goes 1, 2, 3, lefty, lefty, lefty. You and I talked about it off air. I kind of was like, oh, I thought Thielbar might get that, but you had some good points of like, oh, maybe they would come back. Maybe you would need him in a higher leverage situation. So yeah, kudos to you for that. Kittredge, right? You get him in a trade, and we were all kind of like, that's our bullpen guy. That's who we're choosing. And outside of one really bad outing and then another one where he like gave up a 2-run home run, he was nails. He had saves for the Cubs, right? The last guy you would expect. And of course, Brad Keller, who has, I don't think he ever had a career save. Don't quote me on that, but I don't believe he had a career save. And here he is closing out the first game of the playoffs. And by the way, that was his first save of the season, not against the Pirates. He had 3 saves this season. They were all against the Pirates. That's fun, man. And so I want to give some credit to Jed right now, because when you talk about all the bitching and moaning that we do in the off season or at the trade deadline, of why didn't they get this guy? Why didn't they trade for this guy? This guy's available. You should go get him. Think about if we had traded for Emmanuel Clase. Think about if we had traded the boat for some of these guys that either didn't have great seasons or as soon as they got traded, just were like, meh. Jed did a good job with the bullpen. He did. And my theory in the offseason was, if you just get enough puzzle pieces together, some of them are going to fit in the actual puzzle and some aren't. And that seems to be what happened.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about all these guys, and you had already alluded to it, but Palencia was a throw-in in the Andrew Chafin trade. Just, sure, we'll take him. Why not? Keller was essentially left for dead. And, I mean, it's been well documented. Tyler Zomber's like, yeah, I want that guy. Huh, okay. Then he has a great spring, and we're like, oh, okay, this might be something.
Yeah.
Now he is arguably, and I don't even know if that's an argument, he's your best reliever in October.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, who would have saw that coming? Pomerantz, another guy, left for dead, was just kind of hanging out in the minor leagues for Seattle. We'll take that guy. You want some cash and a bag of balls? Sure. Here you go. We'll take him. He's pitching in the 6th or 7th inning of a playoff game. I know we're hard on Jed, and sometimes rightfully so. But, I mean, even just to see something in a guy like Kittredge is just, it's I don't know why I did that. It just distracted myself. But to see the little things that we as fans are like, what? This guy? Yeah, I would have loved Durant. I would have loved Griffin Jacks. And don't make any mistake about it. Both of those guys would look great today. Let's be honest. But they trusted their guys, man, and it's paid off.
Do you remember who going into April, the first games of the year after, well, really March, who we expected to be the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning?
It was Porter Hodge, not on the team. It was Ryan Presley, not on the team. And then I'm forgetting who the 7th inning guy was.
Nate Pearson.
Oh, God.
None of those guys on this team. None of those guys on this team.
No.
That's wild. All right.
Yeah.
I want to ask one more question, and I'm going to start calling out some of the comments here. Can we afford to see another, what was that, 3 or 4 bats, whatever it was, from Kyle Tucker again today? Tucker was 0 for 3 today. The only reason he didn't get a 4th at bat was because Ian Happ ahead of him, 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. Yikes, with the double play as well.
Yeah.
Tucker's at bats didn't look comfortable. They didn't look competitive. And that's pretty much what we said for most of the last 2.5 months of the season. And by the way, when he came back that last 3 games, he went a combined 1 for 11. And that one hit was a fastball that he was late on that he should have crushed for a home run, and it ended up being a little soft line drive to center field. You okay with him batting there, or do we say take a seat? Moises' turn.
I mean, this is going to sound nuts. I think at this moment in time, if you had a knife to my neck and you had to say you need to win the game tomorrow or else, I would kind of trust Ballesteros. And that's nothing against Tucker. I'm looking at his playoff numbers right here. In the playoffs for his career, he's got a lot of experience, played a lot of games in the postseason with Houston. He's hitting 229 for batting average, OBP 309, slug 376. And that's just his career numbers. We're not even talking about the fact that he was out for basically an entire month with a calf strain. Jessica Mendoza said on the broadcast today, his timing's not there. Clearly, there are pitches that we've seen him crush that he's fouling back. I mean, he's clearly not 100%, which, I mean, who would be after a calf strain after a month, and they still didn't even know what was wrong with it until about halfway through that month. I get it. And plus, his presence and his name, I do think, carry weight. Hitting him 4th? I mean, Say is so hot right now, man. It's tough not to bump him back up. Maybe protect him a little bit more with Seiya. It's really tough because he's the guy that I can't speak for you, that I personally would like to be our right fielder for a very long time. Because assuming he's healthy, one of the best hitters in the sport. So this goes back to Craig Counsell's argument. Well, I don't have a crystal ball. You don't have a crystal ball. We don't know. Maybe he hits 4 home runs tomorrow. Maybe. But he's not healthy. Ballesteros is healthy. He's been productive. Look, it's kind of a moot point because Tucker's starting tomorrow. Would I personally? Probably, but I'd think long and hard about it.
Yeah. So Trevor Gray says you need Tucker to get ABs to get him right. Just can't have Happ and Tucker back to back. Tucker was off, says Mark. I would move Happ, says Rojo Cube, down in the lineup too. I agree. Mo is DH, says Mark. So we've got a few people, including myself. Here's the thing. I agree that he needs at bats, but we can't think about how often we were talking in July and August about Kyle Tucker just needs to be in there and he needs to just figure it out and he needs to get his reps. And how long did it take him to finally, quote unquote, figure it out. He hits 2 home runs against the Angels, goes on a little bit of a better streak. I wouldn't call it a heater, but it was a better streak. And then the calf injury. I want to win the whole damn thing. I don't want to hope a guy gets right. Yeah. And so that's a really tough decision. And I know the Cubs won't make that decision. I know Craig won't make that decision. But could you put Tucker in the outfield, DH Seiya, and then when it's a tough righty later in the game, give Mo some at bats? That's maybe a possibility. And then Mo goes deep, and then you say, well, we can't leave him out of the lineup the next day. And so who's the odd man out? It's probably Tucker over anyone. I don't know how you win that, because as Cubs fans, I think most of us are saying we'd rather see Mo. We don't want to wait for Tucker to figure it out. I just know that that's a really difficult position for Craig Counsell to be in, because what if Kyle Tucker figures it out tomorrow and you missed that opportunity? What if Moises Ballesteros isn't ready for that moment yet and he goes 0 for 3 with 3 Ks? And then you destroy his confidence and you destroy an opportunity. Maybe those were big at bats too. It's a really tough place to be in. And so for that reason, I think that Craig is just going to continue to put Tucker out there.
Well, and as you were talking, look, I think both of us made our points. I do think maybe there is a bit of overthinking on our part, because yes, Ballesteros might be the guy and maybe should be, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Tuck. And if this team wants to do anything moving forward, because let's say they advance to Milwaukee, they need him desperately at Milwaukee, because you know what? Milwaukee would just absolutely love to beat your brakes off and send you home. Of course, we would love to do the same to them, but you need your superstar to show up. So tomorrow, Cease, kind of a little bit of a Rick Vaughn thing, kind of a bit of a wild thing. Like, you don't know which version you're going to get. If he's on, we're in trouble. He normally dominates the Cubs at Wrigley. So bat to ball skills would definitely help with that. Ballesteros would help with that. But at the end of the day, it has to be Tuck. This whole thing was built around him. He was supposed to be the straw that stirs the drink. If he can't perform, this team's not making any noise anyway.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. All right. Let's talk about tomorrow. Game 2. It's going to be Dylan Cease for sure for the Padres. 8-12 this year with a 4.55 ERA. Very strange to see him have a very blah season. I mean, they haven't made the announcement, but I think the only reason they haven't made the announcement for Shota is because they're probably considering an opener, because you saw what happened with Boyd today, just having to get cut short. And also Shota has been struggling. So I got to imagine it's either going to be Shota starting or Shota being the second coming out. And if he is a second coming out, then maybe, I don't know, Colin Ray is an opener for 1 inning. Who knows? We'll see. But Shota, 9-8 this year with a 3.73 ERA. And most of that damage to his ERA happened in the month of September. He was, what was it? 6.51 ERA in 5 games in September. Pretty rough. And by the way, 10 home runs in 27 2/3 innings against Shota. So, Alex, I hope the wind is blowing in tomorrow. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So I just quick looked up Cease's numbers at Wrigley. He normally pitches well against Cubs. At Wrigley Field specifically, he's 2-1 with a 2.50 ERA, 18 innings pitched. I thought it was more than that. He's only given up 5 earned. He has given up a home run. And from listening to some more national outlets today, one of the producers on the national outlet had said, you kind of know what you're getting with Cease. He may give up 1 in the first, then he'll cruise for a couple, and then he'll definitely give up a long ball in like the 5th inning and then kind of ruin his outing. So if that rings true, look, regardless if that's true, game plan's still the same. Jump on them early, because even the bullpen, while for San Diego wasn't locked down like it normally is today, that's still a damn good group out there. Get to them early. And small ball if you have to. Today, let's be honest. Say I absolutely nuked that one, but to get 2 home runs, is that repeatable? I don't know. But you can manufacture runs with this group. Get out early, be aggressive, make stuff happen. Don't wait around for the long ball. But that's the formula, same as it was today. And then hopefully your bullpen can lock it down for you.
Be aggressive. I like it. Let's do that. Let's be aggressive too. All of you come back again with us tomorrow, no matter what the outcome is of the game. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got that notification bell on so that you know when we are going live. But it, just like today, very last out, we're clicking that go live button and we'll see you here. Cubs win. First time, once again, since 2017 that they have a playoff win. First time they've scored more than one run in a playoff game since 2017. And first, hopefully, of another 12 more to come these playoffs. We're going to go put our arms on ice. Thank you so much, Setup Nation.